Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flip over actually to the second page in your foldable. We're solving quadratics. And so before we get into that, let me just go through the very front part of your book. When we're looking for solutions, we want to know when that x, what the x value is going to be when you put that equation equal to 0. So you're really we're going to start out with something like this. You're going to get your equation in standard form, and you're going to set it equal to 0, and we're going to solve it. And so solutions, roots, zeros, x-intercepts, all mean the same thing. Those words are interchangeable. So if I ask you to find the roots, you're still looking for the zeros or the x-intercepts or the solutions. Whichever one of these 4 words I use, just know that they all mean the same thing. So we're going to start finding solutions or roots or zeros or x-intercepts using the square roots. So flip over to the second page in your book, the one that's got this on it. And here's what you really want. When you get that equation in standard form, the thing with this one is that there is not a b term. There's not going to be an ax squared plus bx plus c. There's no b term. You're just going to probably start out, it may start out looking like this. Some squared term plus a constant equal to 0. Or it could start out looking like this. But this is what your goal is. This is where we want it to be so that we can solve it. So we're going to put it in this format to solve. And I hate to say that it's going to be like that every time, because there may be some situations where we see where we don't necessarily put it in that format. Yes, we will. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, that's what you need it to look like. You need the squared term on one side and the constant on the other. So you're just solving it for x now. So if I have, I'm just going to do a couple of examples because this is super duper easy stuff. When I get it in that format, I'm going to divide both sides by the a so that I can get the x squared by itself. And then you're going to take the square root of both sides so that you can find out what your answer to just x is, because if you take the square root of x squared, you're going to just have x. But you got to remember, we're finding solutions here, so we're going to have to consider the positive answer and the negative answer. And this is going to go back, I kind of hate skipping the graphing part, but we needed the graphing calculator, and you don't have those at home, so we'll do that part in class. But we're solving a quadratic equation, and I will do this real quick. Remember that an equation, a quadratic equation is one that looks like this. So it's either going to have 2 answers, or it's going to have, that should have hit just right there, sorry, I missed my mark a little bit, or it's going to just have 1 answer, or we'll get a little bit deeper into this in a minute, but this is going to be no solution. It's going to be no real solution. I'm going to abbreviate solution, but what that really means is that it's going to have 2 imaginary solutions. So this is 2 real solutions because it crosses the x-axis and you get 2 real numbers. This is going to just be 1 real solution because it crosses the x-axis in exactly 1 place. This is going to be no real, which is going to really mean for us that there are 2 imaginary. So let's just do a couple of these. I'm not going to do a ton because you already know how to do square roots. So if I have something that looks like this, 5x squared plus 7 equals 2. Now remember, my goal is to get it so that it looks like this. So what am I going to do first? I need to get rid of that adding 7 by subtracting 7. And 2 minus 7 gives me negative 5. And then I'm going to get the x squared by itself. I need to divide by 5. And I get x squared equals negative 1. And then to find what x is, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And hopefully y'all remember that the square root of negative 1 is I. That's my imaginary part. but it's going to be plus or minus I because we're going to have two possible solutions. I've got to have the positive I and the negative I. Okay? Nothing complicated. Your goal, I'm about to smear my ink right here because this pen doesn't dry fast, but your goal is to get the squared term equal to a number and then take the square root so you can find your answer. So I'm going to split this and try to squeeze in two little examples right here because I wrote that kind of big in a small little book. So if I've got something like this, 8x squared equals 20. I got to get the x squared by itself. So we're going to divide by 8. And I get that x squared is equal to, oh, I can't do that. So just simplify it. 20 over 8 is 5 over 2. Now I need to get rid of that x squared by taking the square root. And so I'm going to get x is equal to, now here's the thing guys, I'm not going to be a real stickler about you having to do this by hand because you can use your calculator. And so I'm going to do, oh, the square root was already there. I'm going to take the square root of 5 halves, but you cannot take the square root of a fraction in this calculator. You have to do the fraction and put the square root on the numerator and the square root on the denominator. And then just press your button and there's your answer. You had to rationalize that denominator. Really what we did right here is multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. 5 times 2 gives me 10, and the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2, or the square root of 4, which is 2. So this is going to give me plus or minus square roots of 10 over 2. And that's your answer. I have two, let's talk about that real quick, real roots, solutions, zeros, x-intercepts. That means that if I were to graph this function, and we're going to get into that, the graph is going to cross at the positive square root of 10 over 2 and the negative square root of 10 over 2. It's going to look something like this. I'll go back and talk about this one real quick. If it's got imaginary roots, then it's not going to cross the x-axis at all. It's going to look like this. And the last one, and I lied to you, I told you this video would probably be less than 6 minutes, and I'm already pushing 8, so this is the last one. If I've got 6x squared plus 4 equals 66, let's get the x by itself. So let's do these inverse operations. Let's subtract 4. And 66 minus 4 gives me 62. And then let's divide both sides by 6 to get rid of the multiplying. And I get x squared equals, so we can simplify that. 62 and 6 are both divisible by 2. So that's going to give me 31 over 3. And then we're going to take the square root. And so x is going to be equal to plus or minus. And we're going to just plug that in our calculator. Hit the fraction. Oh, I hit the wrong button, sorry. The fraction, you're going to do the square root of 31 over the square root of 3. And it's plus or minus the square root of 93 over 3. And so that's going to give me 2 real roots, solutions, intercepts, zeros. It's going to cross the x-axis 2 times. It's going to look kind of like that. And we can get that decimal approximation. But this is what I'm looking for. I want you to be able to find those answers, and I want you to be able to identify what kind of solutions you're going to have. Okay? That's it.